the energy difference is huge, which means that a lot of energy is going to get released. That energy is going to be captured by the cell to do things like move motor proteins, move your muscles, fire a neuron, copy your DNA, build proteins, build fats. I mean, everything that the cell needs energy for, it uses ATP to do it.
Is that what mitochondria?
And the mitochondria makes a bunch of ATP. Your cells, and we'll learn this in chapter 9, your cells can make a little bit of ATP without the mitochondrion's help. But if you take the mitochondrion out of the cell, it can't make enough ATP to survive on its own. It needs the help of the mitochondria. Yep.
What does the cell do with ADP?
It takes ADP and it sticks another phosphate onto it to turn it back into ATP. But that requires a lot of energy. So that's why we need to eat food, is to get that energy so that our cells can recycle the ADP and turn it back into ATP. Sam, what's up?
ADP has 2 phosphates and ATP has 3.
Yep.
And you were talking about how like ATP was the products. I mean the reactant side.
ATP is if we're going from ATP to ADP, ATP is the reactant, ADP is the product. If we're going the other way and making ATP, then ADP is the reactant and ATP is the product.
And
It just depends on which way you're going in the equation.
Okay. So if you want to make it, then it's ATP is first product reactants.
If you want to make ATP, then you start with ADP, which is
And-
the reactant,
Okay.
and you react it with phosphate to make ATP, which is the product.
All right.
The reactant is what you start with, the product is what you finish with.
Yeah.
Does ATP or ADP ever get destroyed?
ATP gets broken down into ADP, and ADP, if the cell isn't going to recycle it, it can get broken down into AMP, which is mono, which stands for 1-phosphate. AMP we'll talk about in chapter 11, because AMP is used inside the cell to start communication pathways inside of a cell.
So does it just convert back and forth?
Yep. It's turned, ADP is turned back into ATP, but only thanks to the energy from your food. Without the energy from your food, your cells stop making ATP and you die.
So like, the D stands for like
Die.
di, and then T for tri, and
Yep.
M for mono. Oh, okay.
One. Uh-huh.
But if they both rely on each other, like to like for a cell for the cell to survive, then wouldn't that mean like it would like they both would have to exist at the like same time in order
your
for the
cell-
cycle to
yeah.
start?
Yeah, your cell needs ATP, ADP, and AMP all to exist at the same time. And the
Okay.
way that your cell gets, basically it's gonna take AMP and build it up into DP and TP, depending on which one it needs. Where that comes from though is, when you eat something, it has DNA in it. The A letter of that DNA is used to make more DNA, but it could also be used to make AMP, ADP, ATP.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is the structure of ADP just basically ATP without the one of the phosphates?
Yeah, so like if ATP has those 3 yellow circles, ADP is the same thing, except it has 2. And AMP is the same thing, except it only has 1 circle.